Hi, welcome to the first video in a collection of 5 about post-structuralist discourse analysis. Let me start with a question. Did you read the news today? Yes? In that case, you've probably come across examples of foreign policy which left you puzzled. A country which invaded another at huge domestic cost. A superpower leaves a treaty that should help save humanity from environmental catastrophe. A government represses its own people to counter an imagined foreign threat. How do we make sense of such seemingly irrational behavior? In this video, I introduce a method which helps with that. Post-structuralist discourse analysis, or PDA. PDA helps us understand how actions which may not make sense from an outsider's point of view appear much sounder and more consistent in the context of the worldview which an actor communicates. This context we call discourse. In the 4 videos that follow, I show step by step how PDA can be carried out. I discuss the main theoretical assumptions of PDA in video 2. In videos 3, 4, and 5, I take you along in a step-by-step guide to PDA. There's not one single way of doing post-structuralist discourse analysis, but in this video collection, we focus on 4 general steps. First, the selection of a set of texts or other forms of communication which are representative for a certain group, in this case, a government. Video 3 deals with the collection and selection of sources. Next, texts are read and reread to get an understanding of the content. After this, we code the texts. This means that the main subjects in the text are identified. Whom does the text talk about? Which subjects are most central to the discourse? Also, the way these subjects are talked about is coded. What identities are associated with these subjects? Video 4 shows how steps B and C are carried out. Analysis is the topic of video 5. The first step in the analysis is subject positioning. Following the coding process, subjects are placed in relation to each other. How do the subjects compare and contrast? Who are friends? Who are foes? What problems are presented? What are the solutions? Etc. This we call subject positioning. Having done this, we can analyze foreign policy in the context of the discourse. What kind of foreign policy does the discourse make possible? How can we understand foreign policy in the context of our analysis of foreign policy discourse? What conclusions can we now draw that answer our research question? To relate these steps of PDA to actual examples, I draw on research which I did for my monograph, Iranian Foreign Policy During Ahmadinejad, Ideology and Actions. When President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was in power, Iranian foreign policy was, in the view of many observers, difficult to explain. Rather than maximizing Iran's economic and security benefit by cooperating with the West, the Ahmadinejad administration pursued a foreign policy which further alienated Iran from the West. Some analysts concluded that Iran, during Ahmadinejad, pursued an irrational foreign policy and that the Iranian government did so because it was constrained by an Islamist ideology. I try to make sense of the seemingly counterproductive foreign policy of Ahmadinejad through analysis of Ahmadinejad's foreign policy discourse. The research question I asked was, how can we understand Iranian foreign policy behavior during Ahmadinejad in the context of the dominant foreign policy discourse during his presidency? In the videos 3, 4, and 5, I will show how I carried out post-structuralist discourse analysis to answer this research question. But first, I will discuss some of the theoretical starting points of PDA and my research project. I will do this in our next video. See you there.